Hello everyone, welcome to Crypto Weekly Podcast on everything disability. With us today is Hannah from the city of Sydney County. Hello, Hannah. How are you?
Hi, Jonathan. I'm really well and really excited to be here today speaking on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, Hannah, when we talk about City of Sydney, where are we talking about?
That's a great question, Jonathan. And I think people get quite confused about local government area boundaries. So the City of Sydney extends, if we go from the north, Millers Point area, just over the bridge, to, Rushcutters Bay and Oxford Street in the east. And then it goes all the way down south towards Zetland, Alexandria and Waterloo. And then you go to the west towards Glebe, Newtown and Pyrmont. And that City of Sydney area, we service nearly 250,000 residents. But we're quite unique in that we don't just have those residents, we also have about 600,000 visitors that come to our city. So there's a lot more people that we service than just our residents.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easy way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools to let you record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Okay. So, Hannah, tell us, what is an inclusion and access plan?
Sure. So this, just to give you a bit of context, this will actually be the City of Sydney Council's 5th Inclusion Disability Action Plan. We developed our first action plan back in 2002, and those action plans have changed over time. But since 2017, all councils in New South Wales are required to have a disability inclusion action plan. And that's mandated under a piece of legislation called the New South Wales Disability Inclusion Act of 2014. So all those organisations are now required to have one of these plans. And there are some requirements that we need to meet in these plans. First of all, the plan needs to outline how the council will deliver on the 4 areas. And there are 4 specific areas within that plan that you need to have actions. The first is about building a more inclusive and accessible community. And that can usually be about reducing stigma, producing more positive community attitudes towards people with disability, generating awareness through community programs or campaigns, or increasing the visibility of people with disability in your community. The second area is called livable communities, and this is really about the built environment and everything that people participate in what we would call city life. So that could be from footpaths and city streets to participating in some of our events. The third area is about ensuring that people with disability have access to meaningful employment and development opportunities at our organisation. And the fourth area is about access to mainstream services. And this is really about everything that we offer, from customer service, to seeking information, to information and visitor services, making sure that all of that is accessible to everyone. And it also includes things such as our website. So they're the 4 areas that every organisation has to have actions under. It's also mandated that these plans need to be reviewed and updated every 4 years, and that must be done in consultation with people with disability. So that's a little bit about the Inclusion Disability Action Plan itself.
So, more about this plan specifically. What are some of the key initiatives and programs that you're most excited about, and how can people be involved in their implementation?
Yeah, so as I said, this is the city's 5th plan. And rather than create an entirely new plan each 4 years, we really review the current plan, and then we check in with our community and we talk to people with disability, and we reassess whether the priorities identified 4 years, prior to that plan, whether they're still relevant, whether there's some emerging issues that we need to address. So we went through quite an extensive consultation process with people with disability late last year. And we also specifically spoke to people with intellectual disability and also people on the autism spectrum, as well as other people with different types of disabilities, carers, people living with mental health conditions, and people that work in the sector and key peak bodies and advocacy groups. And we spoke to them about the kind of emerging issues. And so this action plan, there are 29 actions, but to give you an idea, there's only 5 actions that are new, and they respond to some new issues that the community told us about. And one of those kind of emerging issues, and I guess some of the initiatives that I'm excited about implementing with this plan, is really about increasing awareness and responding to some of the needs and the barriers experienced by people with what we would call less visible disabilities. And that includes people with mental health conditions, people with intellectual disability, and people on the autism spectrum specifically. So we'll be looking at some community programs that we can run to raise the level of awareness in our community. And we'll also be looking at some of the barriers that people face in the environment and how we can respond to that. So there's some of the new initiatives that I'm excited to implement. But I would also like to say that this plan, we really want to focus on employment. We really want to look at increasing numbers of employment of people with disability in our organisation. And there's a number of specific actions within the plan that look at recruitment strategy, so attracting people with disability to the city. And people with disability told us as part of the consultation process that it's really key that the city promotes itself as an inclusive employer, and an employer that sees disability and diversity as a real asset for our organisation. So that will really be a focus, but also about promoting our great flexible workplace opportunities, because we know that can really assist people with disability, carers, people living with mental health conditions, to not only apply for jobs, but also to retain them in the workforce. So I would say that employment is a really big focus for this next plan. So yeah, I guess they're the kind of key focus areas. And then there are a number of actions which are continuing from the previous action plan. So obviously we still need to look at improvements in terms of the physical environment and ensuring that people can continue to access, or we can improve access to the physical environment, to our events and programs, and that all of our services are accessible and inclusive for people with disability. Sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of water. That was a lot of talking.
Thank you for going through the plan. So, my final question is, how can people stay in the loop and get involved with access and inclusion in the city of Sydney?
That's a great question, Jonathan, and I'd like to take the opportunity just to say that even though we only review and write these plans every 4 years, it's really important that we continue to engage with the community, and in particular people with disability, and people with mental health conditions, carers and people that work in the sector. And so I would always encourage people to reach out to us to share their feedback about how we can continue to improve and ensure that, we are continuing to create an inclusive and accessible city for everyone. So, although some of the actions and the programs and the events have some formal feedback mechanisms, and we do surveys from time to time, we really welcome informal feedback from people. And people can reach out to us through our inbox, which I'll call out for you, is inclusion disability, all one word, at cityofsydney.newsouthwales.gov.au.
Thank you, and I hope that you have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jonathan. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak about the new action plan and to reach out to some of your listeners. And I look forward to having other conversations with people in the community. So thanks.
Bye. You've been listening to Cliffhanger Weekly podcast on everything disability. Join us next week for more Cliffhanger. Bye.